Hi, I'm Gwen Richardson, producer and host of the weekly live stream show, Black Authors Matter TV. In addition to our weekly shows, we also compile a series of how-to videos on book-related topics. This video is about how to illustrate a children's book, and this video can be for illustrators or people who want to publish a well-illustrated children's book. You're going to hear different steps that illustrators take to do just that. And this compilation includes two successful book illustrators who do remarkable work, and they will explain their process of how to go about doing it. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more how-to videos from Black Authors Matter TV.
I was away at college, and I started doing tattoos in high school. And then I took that skill set to college to help pay for school. I wanted to open up a tattoo shop, but again, if you don't have anybody that's like teaching you how to do these things,
right,
you might as well tell me to run for president. It was didn't seem possible. So I'd give it a little go, then I'd have to pull back because I didn't know what to do next. And I kept having these little side hustles and things where I'd do art and make money, but I had a job, I was in school. Ran out of money for school, so I had to join the Marines. And I was in the Marines. I was doing very, very well in the Marines. I graduated first in my class 3 times in a row. I was a natural, but I still wanted to be an artist. So I decided to leave the Marines and figure out a way to get into art school. And I figured that's the only way I could figure the art thing out was to go to art school. But I got a quick story that I want to tell. For hopefully some young artists might hear this. I had a job working at this place that's like Kinko's Copyworks. FedEx is what it is now. And I had a boss who absolutely hated me. I couldn't do anything right. But there was a lady there by the name of Doris who would let me sit next to her and watch her use Photoshop. And I'd get off work and I'd probably be all like sweaty. I didn't care. I'd sit next to her and study. And eventually I got fired from that job. But Doris was so supportive of me, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to school and learn everything she learned. So I went to art school, and then I found my path in art school. It's like, oh, okay, this is how you do it. Oh, this is how you get a career, and this is how you make a living. Once I figured that part out, the rest has been easy. It's been quite a ride, a fun ride. But that was the hard part, is just figuring out how. But I always knew.
But I do want to ask how Tyrus and you work together in terms of deciding about the illustrations for the book. Did you give him your ideas for each set of the words, or did he tell you what the characters should look like?
Funny thing about Tyrus is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying that's a super question, because one of the struggles many children's book authors have is finding an illustrator who is going to match their vision with the author's vision. Make these characters look like what this author is envisioning. So I'm sure that was a bit of a process for both of you.
Well,
but since you all have known each other for a while, he may just have been able to read your thoughts. I don't know, but
no, he's the type of person to where if I told him what I wanted to be in the book, he would say, "How many books have you illustrated?" And I would be like, "0." He'd be like, "Right, let me do what I do."
Look, that's a good point, but I want to address what the other host was saying. So you don't, and I want you guys to think about this. Any author who's listening to this, I want you to hear this idea. When you write a story, you're the author of the story. You tell the story to the best of your ability from your creativity. What you don't want to do is hire an artist and expect them to catch your vision. The artist's vision should be greater than yours. That's why you hire them. So for example, I've done over 70 books. Whatever idea an author comes to me with in their head, my idea should be so much grander than theirs that it should pale in comparison. So when an author comes to an illustrator, they don't come to an illustrator and tell an illustrator what to draw. And if you're doing traditional publishing, you wouldn't even speak to the illustrator because that wouldn't be your lane, right? Your lane is writing. An illustrator's lane is telling a story with visual concepts and ideas and pictures. So it's not, an author shouldn't come to an artist and say, "This is what I want you to do." an author should find an artist whose skill set is so much greater than what they can imagine that they're going to go above and beyond when they create. That is very, very, very important to authors who are looking to do children's books. If your artist is creating what you're telling them to, you need a better artist.
Well, doesn't that take a level of trust though? Because now I'm basically giving you my baby and asking you to raise
Yes.
it.
There's no complicated answer where I go, no, yes, and again, that's why you hire someone who's greater than you, right? What should happen is, so when Morris and I are working together, I call him Morris, I call him by his last name because we play sports together. But when we're working together, he gives me an idea. He'll say something, but what I come back with is completely different than what he was expecting, right? So his level should be here, my level should be here. And when the final product comes together, it shouldn't be something that he envisioned. It should be something that's greater than what he envisioned. So whatever he had in his mind, my job is to deliver something greater than. So if he's constraining me, then my book is less than. The book is less than what it should be because I've been constrained as a creative.
Yeah, right.
Now we have a couple of questions. One, how do you keep each project unique and original, Tyrus?
So each project is based on the author. So for example, James and his boys, what I do is I try to inhale who they are. I learn things about them. So I know James, I met his boys. He sends me tons of pictures. And then so I build off of that. Normally, I don't do characters based off of people. So I made an exception for his book because it's what was needed. So each project I take along and I kind of go through with the author. I'll bring my team in, we'll print out the storyboards, we put them on the wall, we talk it through, then we storyboard out the book. We try to, so someone may say, oh, I want the girl to have puffballs. We take those notes and we try to implement them in the ideas. Once we do that, we send that over to the client. The client may have changes, they may have opinions, we make a couple of changes, then we go to the character design. The character design is taking all of those ideas. So James will say, hey, this boy, because his sons look very similar, but they don't look exactly alike. So he'll say, this one has a different hairstyle, and he's giving me feedback, and I go back to the drawing board and I implement that into the characters. And then until the author says, yeah, you got it, I love these characters, we kind of bounce back and forth until we figure it out. That's what gives each book its own soul, and every character looks different, and every book looks different. And each time, every book, so I'm over like 70 plus books, but my goal is never for my books to look exactly alike or for my characters. And naturally, that's what happens, right? Because you're recreating these stories. So now one of my main goals is to make sure that my characters don't look alike. They're my style, but each character is different.
Right. So a person can look at the style and know this is Tyrus, but
Right.
The characters all have their own unique. I'm going to share some. Are we going to be able to see some of your illustrations on the screen share? Are we going to be able to do that? I have it set up for screen sharing.
Okay. So this, can you see it?
Yes.
All right, so that's Going Places.
Okay, it's
And
just beautifully done. Now, did you take a photograph and create an illustration from a photograph, or
So I
just from
did
your
a combination
imagination?
of both. I found, let's say, historical photos and combined it with models that I bring into the studio and photograph them as well. Okay, and that's the Green Book, which is Going Places. Victor Hugo Green and his glorious book is written by the great Tanya Bolton. It's a nonfiction picture book about the Green Book, which was a travel guide published to keep African Americans safe while they travel. Let's see how we
Now from my understanding, Victor Green was not African American.
He wasn't.
Is that correct?
He was, as far as I know.
He was? Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
see?
I need to do some more research. I thought I heard that he
African American postal worker from Harlem who wanted African Americans to stay safe and free of terror while traveling around the United States during segregation. And this is
okay, so he was African American. I don't know. I heard somewhere that he wasn't. Okay.
Okay. I thought
Thank
my-
you for correcting my history on that.
or else our whole book is off.
Well, I
So I just put together like some of the sketches that I do before starting. And in this case, this is some of the sketches I did on Amtrak on my way to Philadelphia to attend the African Americans Children's Book Fair.
okay, is that the one in Philly?
Yes, that's the one in Philly. Yep.
Okay.
And that's Tanya Bolton. And so we previously had another book called Strong Voices. So we were there signing copies of that book.
Okay.
And we were able to talk and chat. And then on the way back, I began thinking about the purpose for the Green Book. And, you know, there was a time, and some things haven't changed much, but that African Americans were terrorized while trying to travel from point A to point B.
And we couldn't stay at hotels,
And couldn't
you
stay
know,
in hotels. And
we
yet,
couldn't use the bathroom. My parents
exactly.
had to drive from San Antonio to North Carolina in the 50s,
Mhm.
the late 50s, and they had to drive straight through because there was no hotel. There was no, you know, you couldn't, if you went to the gas station, you could just get gas.
Right.
You couldn't stop and eat anywhere. He said a nice family did give them some food on one of their trips, but people don't realize how blessed we are now that we can travel and go places and stay places because you couldn't use the bathroom even.
Right.
So
Correct.
you would have to pull over on the side of the road and go in the bushes or on the side of the road and, you know, hope nothing jumped on you, you know, like a creature.
Yeah, you're right. And it's funny because since the book's publication, a few people have now contacted me saying that they had similar experiences. So, and it wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago.
No. My parents talked about it because he was in the military at Fort Sam Houston. That's actually where I was born, in San Antonio at Fort Sam Houston. But they were from North Carolina. So they would have to drive. And you know, the cars didn't have air conditioning. It's you know,
we
take
sure
a
have it
lot for
a lot
granted.
better now.
We take a lot for granted. Okay, so now what is
So these are some of the sketches, and I did order a copy of the Green Book. That's kind of like a compendium, as they call it, a collection of all the different Green Books in one book.
okay.
So I ordered that to get an idea. These are my storyboard sketches that I do before starting on 8.5 by 11 paper.
Okay.
And then I looked at a lot of Green Books.
Green books. Now,
And-
was there a national Green Book, or were there regional Green Books, or both?
Oh, I think he published just one.
Okay.
And that covered, eventually covered all 50 states. In the beginning, it was like the Northeast, and he kept
Okay.
expanding it and expanding it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
So
just gonna say your storyboards look like they could have been the illustration.
thank you.
Have to go farther with
Yeah,
it.
very, very nicely done.
So I'm not sure how much you wanted to look at, but you know, these are all the reference that I collected. This is Victor Hugo Green right here. Hope you can see my cursor.
Yeah.
So that's the man himself.
This photo right here. Now I don't know. Can you see my cursor? No. This photo of the ladies with the suitcases
Oh,
and the
yeah.
hats and dressed up. I love that kind of photography
Right.
because
And-
Black people used to dress up
Yes.
when we would be in public. You know,
Absolutely.
people would dress up when they traveled.
Absolutely. In fact, that's the joke I have with the author, Tanya Bolton, and I. It's the reason why she wrote the book for me, in that we once had a whole conversation about that very same thing, dressing up for travel, because she felt that I was overdressed while traveling to Washington, D.C. for a conference because I had a sports jacket on. And you know, here we are, like 15 years later, she writes this piece just for me because she said that I would appreciate this particular story more than anybody. So
Yeah.
these are the sketches and how they came about quickly. I contacted one of my former students that to become my first remote model. I sent him the sketches and he set these up with his sister and his mom as the photographer.
Oh,
And then they sent me the photos, and I was able to then create the sketch.
oh, okay. Wow.
And I drew out all of the postcards that you see in the book
Mm-hmm.
to create like these images here. So that's the initial storyboard sketch. But once I knew I had to paint the postcards, a lot of possibilities opened up. And so that's the image there.
Oh,
Okay,
beautiful. Beautiful work.
And these are some of the other images that are a combination of my painting and then actual collages of the ads from the Green Book itself. So let me just stop the screen share.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's beautiful work, and it really puts it in context. Thank you for watching this how-to video, and I hope it was informative for you. To keep abreast of the other how-to videos we post, as well as our weekly live stream show, subscribe to our Black Authors Matter TV YouTube channel. Be encouraged and be blessed. Bye-bye.